Hey everybody, this is my first time going live. I'm gonna wait a little bit, see if anybody logs on. My first video, so I might not get everybody in the beginning of the video. But I wanted to just get on right away. I know I could get on at a time when there's more people online, but I just wanted to get this going. So my name is Demian Garcia-Monroy. I think a lot of you guys know me. Some of you might not know me. You're in one of the groups that I will copy the link to. I'm a special education parent at the Garden Grove Unified School District. I have been advocating for special needs for about 8 years now. It all started with my daughter, Samantha. The district wouldn't do a basic, FBA, functional behavioral assessment, and it was very obvious that she had issues, behaviors that were impeding her learning. Their own assessments dictated it, but of course they, looked at other areas of the assessments and not the ones that pointed to actually getting an FBA. And so it really floored me as to how the district would just flat out deny something that was obviously due. And I felt helpless. At that time I had about 15 years of civil rights experience, give and take, with LULAC and volunteering and other issues and Los Amigos and stuff and things in the college campus. And, I have an education, not, to a great degree, but enough where I'm educated. And, if we had money for an attorney, could afford one. But I still felt helpless. I felt completely helpless getting that first prior written notice. I was like, how can this be? How can the district be denying? And so that started my journey in advocacy. And from that moment, I knew that I was going to fight for other people, advocate for other families, because I'm like, if this is happening to me, where I'm very sure of myself, where I am positive of who I am, where I'm confident, where I don't get intimidated at all, what's happening with other people who don't have that, who have language difficulties, who don't have the money to advocate, don't have confidence. What's happening to those families? The families, especially families where culturally you don't, question educational authority, And so I made a purpose to advocate for families. And in the beginning it was adversarial. They did a lot of things to retaliate against me. I won't go into this video today, but I will touch on literally everything. I've had it with the district, so I'm going to start touching up on everything that I've been through in the district. And I'm even going to talk about other things that I've seen with other families without giving away any confidential information. So I won't be giving names out, but I'm going to be giving samples of stuff that I've seen. So, so importantly, the reason I'm starting today is, hi everybody, Alfredo, Rossi, Jameson, Tara. So the reason I'm starting today is I've had it. So one of my parents was, a lot of things going on this week, a lot of fires I'm putting out, and some of you I'm sure will probably comment on it. But one of my parents was bullied, and I know what the district's going to do, what they always do. They're going to just interview the parent. They're going to try to get away with just interviewing and not doing a formal complaint. I know because they tried that with me. They don't want a formal complaint, but even if there's a formal complaint, nothing's going to happen. They're just going to, give them a slap on the hand. Bullying of parents is not taken seriously. They just cover up for each other. I have been dealing with this issue, and I've been asking. In fact, I went to the board a month ago and told the entire board and Dr. Mafi, say, hey, I have a great idea to make sure that you can investigate unbiasedly parental complaints on bullying from principals or conflict and so forth. It's like, you guys do your investigation, but there's no real way to do it unbiased. There's no real way to do it objectively. And I had a great idea, and I wanted to see who would reach out to me. I purposely didn't tell them on the board because I wanted to see who's actually interested. And like usual, not a single person reached out to me. And I'm going to tell you guys right now what the idea was. So my idea is, because of all the things that are going on safety-wise, we're putting surveillance cameras everywhere because of the school shootings. My idea was, let's put cameras in the front office. It's going to help with the situation with, let us know something's going on in terms of school shootings, but at the same time, let us use those cameras in the front office so that when parents do have a conflict, that we can look at these videos objectively. And now we know, did they set the parent up? Because that's what happens. It's a nationwide trend, and Garden Grove does it. They've done it to me. They've tried to set me up several times before. One time I could have walked out in handcuffs, but luckily I had a witness, so that didn't happen. And so when a parent starts to advocate, or their children are taking up too much of a resource and the parent's advocating, so forth, they will provoke the parent into getting upset. And so as soon as they start getting upset, they just reel them in, let them, hang themselves, give them plenty of rope. And then they document it. Hey, this parent's being aggressive, right? So now they can do a restraining order. Now they can send them a nasty gram and say, hey, under this code and blah, blah, blah. And obviously because of all the school shootings, there's all these laws that protect the schools, and the schools are more than happy to use these tools in favor of silencing, quieting parents. So nobody in the district reached out to me to hear my idea on how we can impartially investigate these incidences. And so now I have a parent that's been bullied by a principal, and so we've been interacting, and I've had an authorization of release information already. In fact, the principal had made a copy of it, helped our program supervisor with a copy of the authorization of release information. And so they should know already to provide me a copy, and they refused to do so. They gave the copy straight to the parent, and I knew why, because they were going to be excusing people from the IEP meeting that shouldn't be excused. And, I am her advocate. They shouldn't be doing that, but they did it. And so today I saw the IEP notice, and lo and behold, yes, the principal was not on there as in attendance, so I wrote it in. But yesterday, when I called to speak with the speech pathologist, speech therapist, because that's the person who had the parent sign the IEP notice, they said, oh, no, you have to go through the third floor. But yet I had already talked with Ms. Shed, the SELPA director, and she said, no, they should know you can talk with Angel. And obviously the principal should know I can talk, I'm sorry, not with Angel, with the staff. And so I can talk with the speech therapist. And now, this is something that has happened because, she's been retaliated against because she's advocating for her children. Certain things have happened, certain things of conflict have happened in the front office that I'm not going to tell you too much about. I did talk to her and got her permission about going public. But basically, she had an urgent situation where she needed to get her son out of school quickly to take her other son to the urgent care or emergency room. And they said, oh, no, you can't sign in. You can't go in and get your son. And so they had her son, really young, who's on the autism spectrum, go by himself from the classroom to the front office. He got lost, obviously, because of age and because of his condition. And he ended up crying. It was lost in the bathroom crying. So she bolted into the school and, got her son. Any parent would do that. And so, obviously, this is one of the areas that have caused friction between that principal and her, among other difficulties they're having with her children at school, and other accommodations they're having to do with her because she's disabled herself. And so what happened from that point is the parking lot, she didn't have access to the regular parking lot, the handicap area. And so they had made an accommodation, which we have it on recording, that they made the accommodation at the last IEP meeting that she could park in the back of the school where the teachers are. She could go in and drop her children off and so forth. And so they've never had any problem before. And now supposedly says, oh, she's staying there too long, oh, this and that. But they didn't say anything before. She's not doing anything different from before. But now the principal's going over there and bullying her and, you know, in threatening pose and threatening tone and so forth. And so the parent last week calls me and she's literally crying at how she was bullied. And then it happened again Monday. And so, you know, immediately I sent them a notice, and then I sent another notice by email last night, cease and desist, and that if the principal continues to bully her, that then, you know, this is her notice, and then therefore there could be a lawsuit against her in the district. So now I show up to Murdy, and ironically, the same thing happens to me now. So the district says, oh, you've had too many complaints and too many emails and too many this and too many that. So 2 officers, good thing Garden Grove has professional officers. They're really cool, but they're still doing the work of the district. They're the resource school officers. So they're basically, you know, warning me that I have, you know, been too much of a burden on the district. And, you know, maybe I've used the tone, and there's a lot of reasons why. I have been betrayed by the district several times. When I started, like I said earlier, I started with an adversarial relationship. They decided that wasn't working out, so they changed their tone. They welcomed me as a partner. I changed my tone, and it was going great, and everything was going fine, and I had all these wonderful ideas to work with the district. I was so excited. And then, you know, I wanted to form a SEPTA, and I was told, no, you can't form a SEPTA. Let's do a committee. I'm like, all right, fine. And then I go to do the committee, and every time I try to do the committee, the person in charge of the PTA says, oh, no, you can't do that unless you get training. I'm like, okay, all right, fine. Well, let's do some training. And every time I try to get an appointment to get the training, it never happens. So then she appoints somebody to be a co-chair with me. And then all the decisions on the SPED committee are made by the person she appoints and herself, which was from the CAC. Nothing went back to the CAC in terms of decision-making. Nothing was ever made from the PTA council. It was just basically 2 people making decisions on what was supposed to be a SPED committee. So I was basically not involved in something I had originally started myself. And so then I talked with the PTA chair for the district, and I said, okay, well, you know, let me start a district since, you know, I was never able to do the SPED committee. Let me start a SEPTA, which is a special education PTA, you know, committee, or I'm sorry, a special education parent-teacher association. And she, you know, she's like, oh, that'll never happen. You have to get sponsored by a school, by a principal, by the district, and they'll never do that. And that's when it was like, bingo. So that's where all the colluding's been happening. So basically, there was colluding to ensure that I was not involved. And granted, this is when I was really excited about being a partner of the district, when I really believed in the district that we could do a lot of wonderful things together. Now I realize it was all just one big joke. It was all just for shows. Like, let's appease him as much as we can. Let's make him think he's a partner. And, you know, we'll hold him off as much as we can, as long as we can. But, you know, he's not going to be heading a special education PTA. And they colluded against me. So that really broke my heart. You know, I had established relationships. I believed in people. I was so excited. And I really went into depression from that because I had so many wonderful plans to bring the district and SPED parents together. And now I realize, I was naive. I was really dumb. And, I thought I could believe in certain people. And I realized people have their own agenda, and it's not necessarily to do right by the parents. So today, I went obviously to turn in the actual hard copy of the cease and desist to the principal, and a more formal authorization of release of information. 2 officers are there. They tell me this about, I have now had too many complaints, not complaints, I mean, too many emails, too many questions, too many calls. And I get it, but in actuality, the number of things I bring to the district in terms of the issues I see are like way out to here. You guys can't even see my hands. And what I bring to the district out of that is this much. That's how much I bring to the district, because I'm trying not to burden them. And the reason I followed up a lot was there was never no malintent. It was because I didn't want to have to do lawsuits, because I didn't want to go picket in front of the school, because I didn't want to have to go recruiting door to door or sending flyers, to get more support group members and to make sure they're not violating other people. I was trying to have a working relationship and try to see if they would make district-wide changes on areas that I see that they have deficits in. But so now they're, I do a cease and desist letter, and basically they're turning around doing the exact same thing to me, warning me this in the same manner. So I just think it's kind of ironic. I guess it's not retaliation, right? So I'm sure how many of you think that. So, but that's the way the districts work. Unfortunately, it's a nationwide trend. But, these are types of behavior that I would hope that our district, because it has a great name. And you guys don't get me wrong. I love our district, but I love the other district not because of these people. I love the district because we have some awesome teachers. We have some awesome aides. We have a lot of, the bus drivers, all sorts of people in the district are really, really great. But the district is huge, and being so huge, you're going to have a lot of bad apples. I see it with my old jobs as nursing. I've had to report a lot of people as a nurse. I've reported a veteran, a good friend of mine, for showing up drunk. It really broke my heart. Having to report a friend of mine, but I did it, There's bad apples everywhere, unfortunately. The thing is, the district will not and does not take appropriate actions. There's a lot of cover-ups. There's a lot of things that they do not want to address. And so they're tired of me sending them emails. They're tired of me sending them requests. They're tired of all sorts of stuff. And I get it. And I'm not going to do that no more. I'm going to leave them alone. And I know they're tired of the tone that I have with them at times. And the tone I have is because the tone I've had sometimes is not very nice. And that's because, one, I feel I've been betrayed. I've been lied to. Oh my God, I've been lied to so many times. So, for example, I had questions about the officer program that our school started, the school resource officer. And Sergeant Wainwright, one of the officers, hey, I got an email from the district, asking about your, saying that you had questions about the school resource officer program, and we start talking and so forth. I have no problem with any of the officers for the school resource program. All the questions that I've had from them, they've answered great. And so I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to show the district. I haven't told them, so they're going to see it in this video. So I did a public records request regarding emails related to all my requests on that, on the school resource officer program, because I have turned many requests and I know they're lying. They never fulfill public records requests. They do not fulfill their legal obligation to fulfill public records requests correctly. There's people behind the scenes say, oh, I don't want to send that email, delete. And I've told them, and I've had meetings with IT, and I've told the board, someone from IT needs to fulfill the public records requests, and not the actual individual you're getting the emails from, because all they're going to do is delete it. And lo and behold, of course, I didn't get that email. You know, they didn't know I knew about that email. And all the time, there's another situation, I can't recall right now, but I've done public records requests. I know they have a certain email, and they don't do it. They don't provide it. There's times it comes back blank, and the type of business they conduct, there's just no way that they could come back negative for emails. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, the things that they cover up. So, you know, I've been trying to work with them, and now they've basically threatened me with this, which is fine. So now I have no problem. From this point forward, when I identify a deficit with the district, I will let them know once. I may follow up one more time, who knows, because I don't want to be irritating them. I don't want to be annoying them. I don't want them to be worried about that. So I'm just going to take action from this point forward. If they don't take action, if they don't tell me, you know, oh, and here's the thing. So I'm supposed to, they're saying, oh, you have so many requests and so many emails and you follow up constantly and you do this and you do that. You think one time they said, hey, let's meet, go over some ground rules. You know, you tell us what we're not doing, what ground rules you want from us. You know, what can we do? Because they know, I've told them many times, they've lost my trust. They've never come up to me and said, let's meet, let's talk about some ground rules. What can we do to reestablish trust with you? You give us some ground rules that you want us to follow, and we're going to give you some ground rules, you know, so that we have some way to work together, right? You think they ever mentioned anything like that? No, of course not. They're going to wait until I'm providing a cease and desist letter to a principal so that they can do the exact same thing to me. So that's how the district works. I hate to say, and I have gone to bat for this district because I don't support charter schools. I've never wanted to go public like this because I don't want charter schools to move in. I don't want our teachers losing their jobs for a charter school that comes in and doing, you know, half the work and discriminating against our children with special needs. You know, I've never wanted to go public. I've never wanted to tarnish the image of Garden Grove. You know, believe it or not, I love our district. It's just the people at the top who that's it. I'm done. So from this point forward, this is how I'm going to work. I'm going to tell them once. I may or may not remind them. And then after that, I'm going to be acting. So I'm going to be, you know, if you're one of my parents in the support group, you know, you don't want to get involved with this, don't. I want everybody in the support group to feel safe. You know, the support group is not going to be an adversarial area to the district. It's going to be a support group, and that's that. But, you know, occasionally I will be posting stuff because people should be aware. You know, you guys need to be doing observations in your class. I have parents that are making observations and they witness abuse, mistreatment, verbal abuse, and that's why they're doing an observation, for crying out loud. What's happening with these kids? What is happening with these kids when the parents aren't making observations? All you parents, I don't care who you are, you need to do observations, okay? You know, if anything, you're going to see how awesome your teacher is, because that's what's happened to me. When I'm in observations, man, teachers at Parkview were amazing, and I know they're pretty good because I was there most of the career of Samantha for elementary, and you know, I'm like the advocate for the district. I never heard any problems except once, and the parent never followed up with me. So there are really good teachers out there. There are really good IB teams. And, you know, if anything, you're just going to see how awesome your teacher is. But if not, you might see some questionable stuff. You know, you might see the fact that, oh, your child doesn't have his hearing aid on. Why not? You know, they're not doing it. He's constantly taking it out. Oh, your child's constantly eloping, you know, and they're not redirecting successfully. There's a lot of stuff. Believe it or not, people are so ingrained at what they do in the classroom and what they don't do in the classroom in terms of implementing the IEP that even if you are observing, they forget. It's just ingrained. They've done it so much over and over and over that they'll forget they're supposed to be implementing the IEP in front of you, and you'll see it. You'll actually see it. you'll actually see that they're not implementing the IEP. They just so ingrained that they don't do it for so long that it just becomes second nature, and they forget you're watching, and then they don't do it. They don't implement a certain part of the IEP. So everybody, you guys need to do observations. I've always, if you want to volunteer, use that to support your teachers. If you want to see what's going on in the classroom, do observations. Trust me, they will forget. A lot of times they will forget. You're going to catch a lot more things. They can't remember everything because they're just so ingrained at doing what they do. And I'm talking about the ones that don't do. I'm not talking about all the wonderful teachers and all the wonderful ladies that do what they're doing. In fact, today I went on a field trip with Miss Twee Tran over at Bell. And oh my God, I am so happy we transferred over there. She's an amazing teacher, Miss Twee, the way she works with those students. Literally, I wanted to cry today watching her work. She is just such an amazing and fabulous teacher. And we're really happy. Mom and I are really happy. My daughter, was happy in Parkview, but man, she has never been as happy as she is today over at Bell. So there are a lot of good people. I don't want you guys thinking that I'm trying to talk, smack about the entire district. That's not it at all. My problem is the board doesn't take stuff seriously. They want bullying to stop at the schools, but they'll put up with bullying from principals. So it just doesn't make any sense. So anyway, there's so much I could literally stay here all day and talk about issues, but I think for my first video, I think it's good. I don't know if you guys have any questions before I end the video. Anybody have any questions? Nobody has questions? So I just want to say one thing before I end. I don't care what the district does. If they want to file something against me in court, nothing's going to faze me. If they're going to have police officers there meet me every time I go to a campus, I don't care. Nothing is going to faze me. Nothing's going to intimidate me. I am going to hardball this where I'm going to advocate for our families in the district. And every single time they do something to escalate, I will respond in kind and I will step up my advocacy for my parents in the district. Everybody, all of you that are part of my support group, I'm here for you. You need something, you let me know. I will do what I can to make it happen for you because, although there's issues with the entire district, I still have a working relationship with the third floor. They've been really good. They've been listening. They're working on a lot of issues I'm bringing forth to them. So, so far I still have a really good relationship with them. I can still make things happen for us parents. If they're violating your rights, I will call attention to it. I have an excellent track record with the school district, excellent track record making things happen for my parents. So anyway, I need all the support I can get from you guys. This is going to be a very challenging time for me. I need you guys to really start recruiting as many people as possible, as many parents as possible into our group. Make sure you don't invite anybody who's an employee. If they're an employee but they have children with special needs, they can be part of the community, Garden Grove Community Special Needs Group. They can be part of that. We still talk special education there, but our support group has to strictly be parents, non-employees, because of confidentiality and all other stuff. And I can still help them. In fact, I'm probably going to be helping one of the teachers soon at one of her IPs. So, all right. Please, everybody, comment and give me some feedback. And, I love you guys. Love you guys. Thank you guys for logging on. Thank you so much for all the support. I'm here to fight for you guys.